Hello, fellow Redbirds. Welcome to Bird Fans Forever podcast number 49. Please follow us on our @BirdFansForever Twitter account to be notified of our latest podcast videos. Also, go visit our website, www.birdfansforever.com, where you can find a list of our previous podcasts. Finally, go visit Bird Fans Forever on YouTube and slam dunk that subscribe button. Our YouTube site has our Redbird game archive where you can find a classic Redbird game to watch. We've been getting a lot of videotapes from friends of the podcast that Pem has been transcribing to our digital library. Don't forget to support our Redbirds by buying the Empower the Nest beer from Keg Grove Brewing Company. Bird Fans Forever members don't want to be the only supporters. We know there are plenty of other beer lovers out there, so buy a 4-pack of Empower the Nest beer to support our Redbirds. We've been looking forward to our guest today, who just this past weekend was honored at CEFCU Arena, being presented with a Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship ring. In one season as a Redbird, she had a whole career of accolades. She was Missouri Valley Conference Jackie Stiles Player of the Year, MVC Newcomer of the Year, All MVC First Team, and All MVC Newcomer Team. On top of all that, she became the first ever WNBA draft selection in program history on April 10th, 2023. Welcome to Bird Fans Forever, RB4L, Paige Robinson.
Hello, Paige. How you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
This is awesome. So my two things that I wanted to call out was we had Beth Landis just last episode, but Paige is number 4 with 37 points in a game, 4th all-time. And then Paige is 4th all-time with 584 points in a season. Nice work. That is very impressive.
Thank you.
We start off the same way with everybody, pretty much. How'd you get to ISU? But yours is a very long story, so we want to hear about Drury first. Actually, we want to hear about recruiting in high school, and then Drury, and then Illinois State.
Yeah, absolutely. My recruiting process looks a lot different than a lot of the girls that are at ISU now. I went to a tiny high school, graduated with about 45 kids in my class. Played in AAU, wasn't on a very big AAU team. I bet you 100% of people around this area don't even know what it is, but my coach was able to get some Division II coaches to come to our games and stuff, so a lot of my offers were from Division II. I had a couple trickle in that were mid-major, kind of lower D1s. But ultimately, they just weren't a good fit for me. They were rebuilding. Their coaches got fired, so they were bringing somebody new in. You know how it goes in athletics.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. But before I committed to Drury, Coach Gillespie invited me to elite camp at ISU. So I came and I was super excited. I was like, dang, am I going to get to play for Illinois State? Like, this is big time. Like, I was so excited. And she was awesome. I went to elite camp. She asked for my AU schedule and then never showed up to a game. So, yeah. So I got my hopes up for nothing. And so ultimately, Drury was my best fit for me. You know, they're a Division II powerhouse. They're known for winning championships, conference championships, making it to the national tournament. So, yeah, ended up that route. There's a lot of great players at Division II, a lot of diamonds in the rough there. I think it gets a bad rap sometimes, but, yeah, I had a great 4 years there. Made it to the national championship 1 year. Ended up losing, but pretty impressive that we made it there.
How was that game? Was it a pretty close game? Is it something you look back and like, wow, we were in it? Or was it one that, you know?
Yeah, no, it was a really fun game to play in. We were playing against, who was it? Lubbock Christian out of Lubbock, Texas, who is another Division II powerhouse. They had won pretty much every national championship in the past, 5 years. So we knew what we were getting into, but we played a really good game with them. I think we were down 10 and made a comeback, cut it to 3. So it was a really exciting game, but ultimately with free throws and everything, I think it was kind of a bigger difference at the end of the game. But yeah, that was exciting. So that was my junior year. Came back for my senior year. not even really thinking about transferring. I was just coming back. I wanted to get back to the national championship, and came up short, didn't make it. So that was around spring break when we ended our season. My coach calls me on a Monday, and she's like, all right, Paige, like, we need to know, like, are you transferring? Are you staying here? And I was like, oh, man, like, we just lost. Like, I don't even know what to think right now. Like, I can't process these things. So I had to sit down with my family, and, we came to the decision that I should probably enter the transfer portal to move up a level, go Division I. Entered the transfer portal. That was crazy. It was insane. I mean, I was on phone calls every 15 minutes for hours on hours every single day. Yes, it was an amazing.
So you're talking, when did the phone call start? Like on a Monday morning, or was it even like a Sunday, or when did?
Yeah, so you had to like go through this like training and stuff to be able to enter the portal. So that took like a day or two. And then I probably got in there on like a Wednesday or Thursday, and I mean. Since then, I was on phone calls, like I said, every 15 minutes for hours, every single day. And it's like, I had to download the Google Calendar app to like make sure like I'm not like scheduling phone calls on top of each other. Like, it was crazy how much exposure I got. Yeah. And I was not expecting, like, I knew that I had success at Drury, but I thought, you know, some schools might be like, oh, she only has 1 year, you know, she's a Division II kid, but no, I mean, I had several D1s reach out to me. Some Power 5 schools, a lot of mid-majors. So I went on a couple visits, and I was actually supposed to go on a visit to K-State. They offered my offer to another girl, and she committed on the spot. So that opened up my last official visit opening. And I got a call from Coach Scott.
So how many official visits do you get coming out of the portal?
So I think you can get, now you can have endless. I think it's between 3 and 5 when I was transferring.
Okay.
So yeah, I had one more official visit opening. Coach Scott called me. He's like, all right, we're getting you here. And I was like, oh, do I really want to go? Like, you know, they kind of like messed with me in my high school recruiting. I was like, man, like, should I be petty? Like, should I like not go? But I mean, I couldn't say no to them. They were awesome. We were building a relationship over the phone, and I got on campus and fell in love. Couldn't say no to them. They had the best offer, hands down.
So who was your other 4 ones you went on trips on? Yeah,
so I went to Mizzou.
Who you played in NIT.
Right. Yeah. Grand Canyon, which is where my head coach my freshman and sophomore year at Drury went to.
Okay.
I was supposed to go on an official visit to Toledo and Kansas State.
Okay.
So I took my ISU visit, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of all I need. That's all I need to see here. But after that visit, I mean, me and my parents were just like, I can't ask for anything more. You know, I was coming home, an hour and a half away from home. At Drury, I was like 5 hours. So It was quite the drive for my parents to come, and they made it to every single game. Very cool. So I was like, you know, I only get 1 more year. Why not do it in front of my family, you know, right down the road. So, that's kind of how I ended up at Illinois State.
That's awesome. Did Missouri State, I mean, they're in Springfield, did they call you?
No, Missouri. I thought, you said Missouri, right, Paige?
Yeah, but Missouri State did call.
Oh, okay.
So they were in a transition period. Their head coach went to Virginia, and they were kind of late in the process because they hadn't hired a head coach until I was kind of through my recruiting process. So they made a call, and they're like, hey, you're just right down the road. Like, do you want to come over, come on a visit? And I was like, actually, like, I kind of already made my decision. Like, I don't want to waste your time. So, I mean, their coaching staff was amazing. Would have been cool to kind of stay in Springfield, but I think I made the right choice for sure.
Yeah. So when you show up your ISU visit, do you remind them that they forgot to come to your AAU game? Like, do you walk in with the schedule and say, Did you miss these games or what?
Did you lose this? Did you lose this? I still have it. I had to feel him out first. But I still definitely give him crap to this day about it. I was like, you could have had 5 years of this. That's all I'm saying. No. I'm thankful for my time at Drury. Obviously, it led me here and now to the bigger stage. So,
yeah. So Paige, it took 4 years, but you make it back to ISU, and now you're playing D1 basketball games. Talk about the difference going from D2 to D1 and about that transition.
All right. Wait. Great question. We're going to let her play in the background. At least introduce her, Paige. Who is she?
Yeah.
She's shooting baskets.
This is Prudence Pierce, the next baller.
Let's check out her form.
Let's see it, bro. Oh,
All right.
did Aunt Paige teach you that?
We could keep talking. This is going to be awesome. Just keep growing.
All right.
Like I tell people, this isn't 60 minutes or 48 hours. This is Bird Fans Forever. We just talk ISU basketball and we go with the flow. So, all right.
Perfect.
You remember the question?
Transition from D2 to D1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I was kind of nervous coming into Illinois State. Like I said earlier, I think Division II kind of gets a bad rap sometimes. But there are a lot of good players there. I think the biggest transition for me is the team aspect of, you're going to see good teams every single night. You're going to see, multiple positions that are stacked. I think at Division II, sometimes you see really good guards and you see really good posts. But I think at Division I, you kind of see all of that. So you have to bring your game every single night. You can't slack off a single play. But yeah, I think that was the hardest transition for me is like you can't have an off game, If my shot wasn't falling, I had to figure out how else, to provide to the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Good assists.
Paige, it didn't take you too long. I know the first game against Dayton, you scored 9 points. That was your transition game, and then you did pretty well against St. Thomas. And then the third game against a Power 5 Wisconsin team, you scored 37 points. You went 7 for 7 from 3, which it would have taken me 1 3-point shot to get my first miss. So tell me about shooting 7 from 3, and just tell me what that feels like because I never got to experience that ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what got into me that day. I feel like I was just in my driveway again, like a little kid, just shooting it, and everything was going in. But I just remember going into that game and thinking, I'm not going to let a Power 5, come into our place and just, tear us up. I was like, I'm not letting that happen today. I was sitting in the training room getting some rehab done on my hip, and I was like, I just know that today's going to be a good day. And I just, kept, these good vibes going. And, I was warming up, felt good. And then I hit that first 3, and I was like, all right, that makes sense. And then everything just kept going our way. And I thought we played a good game. We were well-rounded. I think towards the end of the game, we kind of lost our cool a little bit. We let them pressure us a little bit too much and had some turnovers towards the end of the game, but ultimately we pulled through. And, yeah, I mean, that was a really fun game. They kept getting the ball to me, and I kept converting for them. So, I mean, that'll be a game I'll never forget. So,
but at some point, when you're running back down the court, do you hear the opposing coach going 14, find 14?
Yeah, no, I like to see their reactions after I make a couple shots, or a lot of times when me and Mary run this ghost play, coaches will just lose their mind. They'll just turn around and walk away if they don't guard it right. And I think it's the funniest thing ever because they're like, those are the two you got to worry about, and you just let them do that. It's so funny watching their reactions. But.
So Mary explained Ghost. You give us your perspective on Ghost. Walk us through the play.
Yeah, so I kind of have the ball kind of lane line extended on the rail, kind of out towards half court. Mary's on the block, she comes up and acts like she's going to set a ball screen for me, and she slips out of it. And it's like a dual threat. Like, do you leave the ball? Like, do you leave me to go score the ball? Do you leave the ball to go to the shooter? Like, do you leave the shooter by herself? Like, it's just like a mind game that we can play. And it's so simple. Like, it's such a simple play. And it seemed to work every single time. I mean, one of the biggest ones was against Southern. Yeah, I mean, that was another great memory. That was amazing. Yeah. That was like, it was in the air for like, it was in the air for like 10 minutes, it felt like. I was like watching it. I was like, when is that thing going to go in? And it finally went in, and everyone just like exploded. But yeah, I mean, it was a great play for us, and yeah, worked pretty much every single time.
What I remember about that game is you guys kept trading baskets down the end. I was just like, come on, get it stopped, right?
I know. And it was funny because like they're such like an athletic team, and there's so many drivers on the team. They had like one 3-point shooter, and I think she came in and hit like 5 or 6 threes. And I'm like, one girl out of every single person on this team can shoot a 3, and she's just going off on us. But yeah, I mean, that was a really fun game. I wish it wasn't as close as it was, but the crowd was definitely involved, and it was a good environment. Yeah,
win's a win.
That is true.
So let's talk about your game a little bit. So, you know, obviously you transitioned very well to D1, but it's meant for your game. I mean, you can shoot the 3, but just as importantly, you can drive. If you get fouled, you shoot 80% from the free throw line, but you can also finish at the basket, and you can pass the ball. So, you know, to me, it's like you performed at all levels, okay? And I think you were important. You know, Maya runs the team and stuff like that, but getting the ball to you and being able to penetrate, you know, if they're pressing out, it really sets everybody else up, kicking it out to Mary and stuff like that. So, who do you see? And we talked about this off the air. Like Juju, kind of had that role the year before. Who do you see doing it this year? Maybe having that same type of role that you did last year.
Yeah. I mean, obviously coming in last year for me, I heard a lot about Juju and how good her game was. I wasn't ever able to watch her, but just the talk of everyone, I mean, it was kind of nerve-wracking. Like, I got to follow in her footsteps. Like, that's kind of what I'm coming in to do. So I don't want anyone on the team to kind of feel like they need to be like Paige necessarily, or they need to be like Juju. But I think someone that can step up into that scoring role, kind of take some of those points. Abby Alsma is a good candidate for that. She is one of the hardest workers, hands down. She's in the gym just about every single day, and she's got some craft to her game. She's only a sophomore. She's super young, so she's got a little bit to go with experience. But I really think that down the road, even this year, I think she is a good possibility for that.
She's got such a quick release on her shot, too.
Yes, and it's so smooth. And I think it goes in just about every single time. So it's going to be hard to guard her. So she's really quick off the bounce, too. But, yeah, I think if we can get her decision-making, down pat and making sure she shoots it when she needs to shoot it, I think she passes up a little too many, but that's just me. But yeah, I think she will be a really good contributor this year. I think Day Smith is another one who's really athletic. She missed last year due to an ACL injury, but she's very athletic. She's a 3-level scorer. She's really crafty as well. But yeah, I mean, there's several. Caroline Waite coming in from Bradley. She can shoot the ball. I mean, it's insane. I think she hung up like 26 on us at Bradley. So I'm hoping she does that against other teams for us. I mean, this team is pretty stacked. It's a lot of new faces, but I think that they can go pretty far this year.
So you were at the exhibition game. Was it strange sitting in the stands and watching the game versus being at the bench there with them?
Oh my gosh, it was so hard for me. I was like, as much as I want to watch this, like I want to be out there again. It's like It hasn't set in yet. I think once I go overseas to play is when it'll like really hit me. Like, you're done with college. Like, you're done with your eligibility. You used all 5 years. You're a grandma now. You have to move on. But yeah, no, it was really fun to watch them, but it was definitely hard to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will tell you from experience, it doesn't get any easier. You just gotta, I'm ready to go out. You think you could still play even in your 50s, where you know you'd probably halfway down the court, things would just start falling off. It'd be like a bad cartoon, right? And so.
Yep. I said, I can't remember who I told this to, but I told him, I was like, I'm playing until the wheels fall off. I'm playing as long as possible because I can just not give up this sport.
All right, Paige, we're talking injuries. We were just talking off-air injuries. I've had my fair share playing. You said there's a funny story behind your hip. And you battled the hip the whole season, right? If people paying attention to the podcast will know, when you're talking about Wisconsin, you were getting treatment on your hip already. So, all right, what's the funny story about this sad injury?
Yeah, so back in 2020, actually, wasn't much going on. This is when like things kind of started clearing up with quarantine and you're able to go out in public a little bit more. So my brother-in-law, who actually got me kind of going in basketball, me and him went and played in an old man's league in the town next over. And so it was me.
How old are the old men, by the way? Are they 50 or?
I won't say their age. I don't want to offend you guys.
Please don't say their age. I wear a hat because I want people to not think I'm as old as I am.
They were way older than you guys.
All right.
No, I'm just messing. But they're all quite a bit older than me. I was definitely the youngest one there, and I was the only girl there. So not a lot of people knew who I was at that time. So I just showed up, and the guys are all kind of looking at me like, why is there a girl here? Like, this is the old man's basketball league. Like, so I start playing, and I'm just like going off on them, hitting threes, taking it to the basket, dishing off passes. So in one of the games, 2 guys decided to full court press me. So I'm like bringing the ball up, not thinking anything of it, just like being super casual. So I get past half court, and they're trapping me at this point. So I pass fake this way, and I pivot, and I turn this way to pass it. And I like hear a pop in my hip, and I'm like, what was that? Like, that's so weird. So we scored. I tried to run back on defense, and I was like, Kyle, who's my brother-in-law, I was like, Kyle, like, this doesn't feel right. Like, let me go sit out. And one of the older guys was actually sitting out because he had a Theragun rubbing out his thighs and his legs because he got injured in another game. So I sit down next to him. He's like, here, just use this. I'm sure like your muscles are just tight. And I was like, yeah, probably. So I sit out. I don't play another game. And I'm just like kind of going about my life after that a few weeks. And I'm like, this still like really hurts. Like I feel like a muscle would have like been fine by now. Like I've rested it. Right. So I go back to Drury, and we're doing like summer workouts and stuff, and I'm like, this just isn't right. So I go to the ortho, and they're like, yeah, you destroyed your labrum in your hip, and you have an impingement in your hip, so your bone and socket don't fit right together, and you don't have the cartilage to protect it. So they told me right then and there, they're like, we recommend surgery, but you don't necessarily have to have it right now, but you are going to need it at some point. So I was like, I don't really want to sit out this season. So that was going into my junior year. So I was like, I'll just play on it. Next year comes around. I'm like, I'll just play on it again. Last year was fine. So now it's my 5th year at Illinois State, and I'm getting a little bit older. Bones aren't working as well as they used to. So I had a little bit of trouble going through this season. There were practices that they made me sit out of drills. I wouldn't go out. They were like, Paige, you are limping. Like, you need to get out. And I was like, I just want to keep playing. Like, they're like, we need you for the game. So, like, they would, like, cut my drills in half. Like, they were really good about making sure that I was healthy and taking the proper precautions to make sure that I was able to play in games and stuff. So, yeah, we were doing everything we could to keep this hip together for my last year. And, so made it through the year, started training pretty much right away after season, and was training pretty hard with the thought that I was going overseas right away. The more I trained on it, the worse it got. I couldn't walk hardly after my workouts. I couldn't do my daily activities. So I went to a hip specialist up in Chicago, and he's like, yeah, this is pretty bad. Like, you need surgery. So we kind of discussed it. So I was like, well, what if I just played 1 year? I got 1 year of professional basketball under my belt, and then I got it. But I was like, what's the point in that? Like, I'd rather have it 100% before I start my professional basketball career.
Absolutely.
And it was actually my agent that kind of like talked me into it. He was like, Paige, like, this game is so hard to progress in, let alone an injury that's holding you back even more. So it's like, he was like, you just need to be 100% before you dive into this stuff. And so, yeah, we went ahead and decided to have me get surgery, and I got that June 22nd of this year. So I'm rehabbing right now, but everything's looking
well,
good.
Right? Good.
Yeah, everything's looking really well. I think hopefully I'll get cleared in December. So that's why I'm not playing professional basketball right now. I get a lot of those questions like, oh, what is Paige doing? Is she not playing anymore? Like, I wish I was, but I got to get this hip right before I head overseas.
Gotta get it right. Yep. Yeah. Because as an American overseas, we've heard the stories from guys all the time, right, and gals, right? You get hurt over there, different medical system, blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
Right? And so, yeah, make sure you're healthy when you get over there. And so,
right.
All right. So, and then we talked about you hurt your wrist. Was it Bradley you did that in?
Yep, it was the Bradley game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a lot closer game than we had hoped. So, yeah, that was a rough one. I don't know what was going on with us. We just were not playing well. So I was just playing extra hard, trying to do the little things to get us a bigger lead. And so I think I had, missed a shot, and I was, pretty mad at myself. I was like, come on, we got to get this stuff together. We got to get going. So I sneak up and steal an outlet pass, or I tip an outlet pass. So me and this girl are running to the sideline to save it from going out of bounds. And I'm on her right side. She's on my left side. And I kind of wrap around her, and I tip it back in. And I think Deanna actually comes and gets the ball, so I got the steal. Me and that girl go diving out of bounds. There's people sitting courtside. It's, I think, a dad and 2 little girls or something, and I just completely take them out. And so I'm I see who I'm taking out. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta avoid this at all costs.
Yeah.
So I kind of put my hand down and fall over the chairs this way, and everything just happened so fast. I was like, okay, I got to get back into the play. We got the ball. So I think we scored the basket, and I'm running down the court, and Coach G's like, Paige, you good? And I was like, yeah, what do you mean I'm good? I'm perfectly fine. And I keep playing, and for some reason I look down, and I'm holding my thumb weird, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm looking, my thumb is sticking out, the bone is sticking out. And I'm like, maybe I'm not good. So I'm like, all right, give me one. I'm tugging on my jersey, and I come out, and our trainer Raquel kind of checks me out. She's like, well, it's not broken, but it's pretty messed up. Which my thumb still sticks out a little bit right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I messed up some ligaments. They told me that I tore the ACL of your thumb. So pretty much the function of your whole hand I tore. So yeah, that was not fun. So I got it wrapped up. Made sure it did not move at all. I was playing with 9 fingers.
Yeah.
So then I went to the doctor. They kind of told me what I just told you guys. And they were like, yeah, you should probably sit out for a while. And I was like, that's not what I want to hear. Our next game was Belmont, who I think we were tied with. at the time, or they were like one of the top teams in the conference, and I was like, is this really the game that I'm gonna miss? Like, come on. So I ended up sitting out that game. It was funny because we were like trying to hide it from them for so long. Like, we had shoot around in their gym, and Coach G's like, okay, like, you need to like wear your practice gear, you need to like be dressed, like hide your thumb. Like, I had a splint on at the time, and she's like, you just need to hide it, like act like you're going through the drills. Like, we need to make sure that they think you are playing this game. So then we get to warm ups, and I'm still in the locker room, everyone else is warming up, and I walk out in my street clothes, and all their coaches are standing on the sideline, and you just see their jaws drop, like he's not playing this game, like, what? But yeah, we ended up blowing Belmont out that game. That was a really fun game to watch. The girls did amazing. So yeah, sat that one out, and then played the next game, played the rest of the season on a completely messed up thumb. But
Did you have surgery on that, or is it good?
I didn't.
Now?
It's good now.
It's good now. It healed. Okay.
Yeah. So I had like a little cast almost that covered like right here, and then we taped around my hand. So I pretty much played with 9 fingers the rest of the season. Like, this was not mobile at all.
Right.
So on my shooting, I actually flicked this thumb in. So I had to teach myself pretty much how to shoot again, because like I couldn't move this thumb. So I had to kind of rework my shot a little bit in the middle of the season, which was not easy to do.
Nope.
But I mean, I got used to it after a while, and now I can flick my thumb again when I shoot. But
All right, so let's talk about the big one, right? We had gotten, a lot of us in town had gotten word that you were on the board, and for those around the draft world know that if you're on the board, you got a shot. And so let's talk about, I'm assuming your agent reached out to you and told you were on somebody's board and this might be coming. And so walk us through this.
Yeah, so the process was kind of crazy. So I signed with my agent, and he's like kind of putting my name out there and stuff. And he was actually like, a couple of teams are interested in you. I got some film out there. When you come to Dallas, I was going to Dallas for the Pro Hoops Combine, which a lot of WNBA scouts go to.
Amen. Yep.
He said, if you come for that, then I want you to have a private workout in front of a couple WNBA scouts. And I was like, just me working out in front of like WNBA scouts? Like, that's crazy. I was like, I was just at Division II last year, and now I'm like working out in front of WNBA scouts. And I was like, holy crap, like my dreams are like coming true,
Yeah.
So I'm like working myself up about this workout, and I go in and I could not miss. Like, I hit, I think, like every single shot, and I was like, it was kind of like the Wisconsin game. I was like, I don't know what got into me. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, the Wings and the Mercury, or no, the Suns, the Connecticut Suns were at the workout. And the Wings were the team that were like really looking at me.
Yeah.
So the next day was the Pro Hoops Combine. The Wings were there, it's in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So I played really well. We played a lot of pickup games. So yeah, I played really well, shot the ball well. Just did pretty much everything I could to try to impress them, really. So then I got a pre-draft interview with the Dallas Wings. So I sat down on a Zoom call with the president, CEO of the Wings, the head coach, assistant coaches, trainers. So yeah, the interview went really well. Like, we got along really well. Everything they were saying was matching up with, what I wanted in a team, what I wanted in an organization, and kind of what they wanted in a player was exactly what I am. So
right.
It made me feel a lot better knowing that went well. So fast forward a couple weeks is the draft, and my agent's like, they're not 100% sure. They're about 50-50 right now if they're going to take you. he was like, if I find out, do you want me to let you know? And I was like, no, I don't want to know. Like, I want it to be a surprise. So I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because I was like, what if I make a big deal and I don't get drafted?
Right,
like, that would
right.
be pretty embarrassing, you know?
Yep.
So I went over to my coach's house. It was me, my parents, and the coaching staff. And we're sitting there watching the draft. And it's like, you know, the first round takes like an hour in itself. And then they kind of start rattling off a little bit. Second round, you know, they go a little bit quicker, but it's still pretty slow.
Yeah, very slow.
But it feels like an eternity, and I'm like, when is the 31st pick? Like, because I knew like which slot I was going to be taken at if I was going to be taken. So we get to the third round, and I'm like, my heart starts beating so fast. I'm like, what's happening? And my agent messages me. He's an hour ahead. He messages me, and he's like, are you ready to celebrate? So he thought that I had already seen my name go across the draft board.
Hour delay.
Really?
Yep. Yep. And I was like, is he like messing with me? Like, I was like, you know what? I'm just not even going to like reply to him.
Right.
So finally 31st pick comes across the board, and it felt like forever before it said 31st pick, like Dallas Wings take. And then, like, it wouldn't pop up. And I was like, is it me? Like, just say it. Like, I was so ready for my name to go across the board. And it felt like 5 minutes before it did. But I saw my name, Paige Robinson, and it was 6'4". And I was like, yeah. I grew a few inches, but...
That's from Stats Reference, because there's a Paige Robinson that played for Florida.
Yep,
okay.
Florida Gators, yeah.
They have your stats and her stats combined. Two of her.
Really?
Yeah. So you're 6'4" with your picture.
Nice.
On Stats Reference. Yeah, you're 6'4".
I know. I'm like, they're gonna be disappointed when I show up, and I'm not 6 foot at all, let alone 6'4". But yeah, so.
You guys just all jumping around. I mean, was this basically like a hip hop party, and you guys were all just jumping and?
Yeah, the house was shaking, like we were all jumping up and down, screaming, and I mean, I just like never thought that I would see my name in the WNBA draft. That's something that you just like always dream of, and it's like, you know, I was a kid from a small town. I graduated with 40 kids in my class. I went Division II. Like, my story is just so much different than a lot of stories that, you know, of players that get drafted, and every story is special in its own way. But I mean, I love my story, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and that the Dallas Wings took me in the 31st pick.
So Paige, it's been 6 to 7 months since basketball's kind of wrapped up. What have you been doing, and what are you pursuing in the near future?
Yeah, so like I said, I had hip surgery back in June, so I've been hitting rehab pretty hard. Been doing that just about every single day for, 4 or 5 months now. So that's going well. I'm still in grad school, so I'm in my last year as a sports management grad student. I'll graduate with my master's in the spring semester, so I have the remainder of this semester, and then the spring semester, and then hopefully in December I'll be headed overseas to start off my professional playing career.
Do you know where?
That is awesome.
I don't know. So I'll be a replacement contract. So it kind of depends on timing things. You know, what team needs what kind of player. Hopefully it's someone like me in like Italy, hopefully. But I'll take wherever. I'm just excited to play, and it's been a while since I played a full basketball game. So I'm
the good news for you is this podcast is very popular in Italy.
Perfect.
Really?
Very popular.
I didn't know it was very. Yeah. Yeah, your social media is going to blow up about Bird fans forever. Yeah. All right, Paige, thank you so much for being on. This is where you get the close. Here you go.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Just kind of want to thank everyone that's been on my journey this whole entire ride. My parents have been number one supporters since I was born. They knew, I put a ball in my hand as soon as I could pick anything up, and I didn't let go. So they knew I was going to have some special career. So I really want to thank them, the rest of my family, all of my sisters, my nieces who were in this contest earlier, photo bombing. So, my coaches especially for believing in me, recruiting me to play college basketball in general, and then being able to move up a level, especially ISU. The staff there really sculpted me as an even better basketball player and a person as well. So I'll never forget my time at ISU, and they'll always hold a special place in my heart.
That is awesome. Paige, thank you so much for being on. Awesome to see somebody get drafted. It's been a while since ISU's had that, so that was awesome. So with that, this is Bird Fans Forever, episode 49. Jon, hit it. Yes. We got clapping.